Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Catnip Rants about stuff. I'm going to continue off where I left off on Gameinformer's top 100 RPGs of all time. I haven't really, I don't really agree with the list so far, and my hate towards this list is probably only going to grow as we get closer and closer to the number one spot. I do think I know what the number one game is, and I I might it, it's a good choice, but honestly, I think I found games that I prefer. But anyways, uh let's begin. Number 50, Pokemon Gold and Silver. Red and Blue Red and Blue set the standard for Pokemon, but for many fans, Gold and Silver marked the high point. The sequel added 100 new Pokemon, but its biggest surprise appeared after beating the game. Players could travel to Red and Blue's Kanto, collect a new set of badges, see how the world had changed in the intervening years, and eventually challenge your trainer from the first game to a difficult battle. Um, yeah, I personally would put Heart Gold and Soul Silver over Gold and Silver. Oh, it does say platform DS and GBC, so I guess Heart Gold and Soul Silver is counted in that. But yeah, Heart Gold and Soul Silver were good games. Really good games. Gold and Silver were alright, introduced a lot of new mechanics, definitely a big game for the franchise, but I'm not sure if I would call it the best. Although we'll see, they could have more Pokemon games above Pokemon Gold and Silver, but we'll have to find out. 49, Xenogears. Tackling topics like religion, psychology, and philosophy, the Square team, led by Tetsuya Takahashi, did not hold back with Xenogears. Using a Final Fantasy-inspired system, players took on opponents on foot or in mechs. In an era where most RPGs avoided complex narrative themes, Xenogears stuck out for making players ponder topics like existence and purpose, even if its ending ultimately disappointed. Um, yeah, Xenogears definitely a good game. I'm not sure if I would put it above Blade though, which they did. Um, Xenoblade was like 90. I I don't know a single. I haven't played Xenogears myself, but I don't know a single person, and I know a lot of people who have played it. I don't know a single person who would actually put it above the original Xenoblade. Xenoblade X and Xenoblade 2, not sure. But the original Xenoblade, yeah, I think that was a bad move. Persona 3. Now, I'm not sure if Persona 5 will be on this list. I'm not sure exactly when this list was released. But, yeah, Persona 3, definitely one of the better games in the series. Though the Shin Megami Tensei subseries had been around since 1996, the third entry is where Atlas found its true identity. The tantalizing and well-done gameplay loop asked players to juggle a high school student's relationships and schedule with saving the world from a mysterious threat. The series has improved leaps and bounds since, but this modern classic still shines brightly as ever. Both the FES and the portable version improved on an already great game. I'm noticing a pattern here. A lot of the games on this list aren't great games themselves, but rather games that were important to the series as a whole. Like, they said it themselves. The series has improved by leaps and bounds since. Persona 4 improved over Persona 3, and Persona 5 improved a lot over Persona 4. But yeah, Persona 3 was like a very important game in the series, and I think that's why it was put on the list. I'm not saying Persona 3 is bad. I mean, it's a great game, but yeah, um, it is definitely not the best. Up next, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The Zelda series never claimed to be an RPG, but the latest entry fits the bill with side quests, a sense of character progression with stamina and heart levels, weapon stats, and even an amnesiac protagonist, a JRPG staple. It's one of our favorite Zelda games of all time, and next to Zelda 2, one of the few that plays like an RPG. Um, I mean, it's definitely the most RPG like out of all the Zelda games. Although I I'm not sure if I would consider it an RPG. And this in the same way like that Horizon Zero Dawn isn't really an RPG, you could say the same thing about Breath of the Wild. It's more of an action adventure game. It does have RPG elements, but it is not a RPG at its core. Demon's Souls. From the lesser known King's goodness, gotta scroll. From the lesser known Kingsfield series, it was a new champion in From Software's Demon Souls. Originally considered a failure internally, Hidetaka Miyazaki stepped in to realign the game's development. The final product featured the epic bosses and uncompromising challenge that have made From Software's action RPG a genre of its own. Debatable. The unexpected success eventually set Miyazaki on course to becoming president of the company. Yeah, Demon Souls. I mean, it's kind of the predecessor to Dark Souls, which is obviously a very, very popular series. Um, so yeah, decent choice. Mass Effect 3. This is an odd choice. Mass Effect 3 is on Wii U? What? They put Mass Effect 3 on Wii U? I mean, the Wii U sold terribly, and like, so it already wasn't getting much third party support. But they put Mass Effect. I mean, if anyone knows Mass Effect, it's definitely not a game that you would really imagine to be put on the Wii U. But yeah, okay. Most gamers only remember the final 4 minutes of Mass Effect 3. Yup, yup, that's true. But the controversy over a color-coded cutscene obscures the fact that the trilogy's finale is, in its entirety, a long and poignant farewell to an unforgettable hero. Throughout Mass Effect 3, Shepard confronts the consequences of past decisions and reunites with beloved allies to save the galaxy one last time, making it a worthy send-off to one of the gaming's best RPG trilogies. Yeah, if only we could have another game, but looks like after Andromeda, I don't think that's happening. Unfortunately. Fire Emblem Awakening. All right. While Fire Emblem was a successful strategy RPG well before Awakening, Intelligent Systems found a strong new footing in the series' first 3DS title. Throughout the game, units could fall in love, get married, and have children you could march into battle. It also introduced easier difficulties for those who just wanted to watch all the romance unfold and were too intimidated by the challenging but rewarding turn-based combat. Yeah. Awakening definitely introduced a lot of aspects to the series that honestly I probably wouldn't enjoy the series much without. Like, I did originally get Fire Emblem. I started with Fates actually, but I originally did get it for the gameplay. But that's not the reason I really stayed. The reason I like Fire Emblem is the characters. The characters are very good. Fates, a lot of people hate the Fates characters. I'd have to disagree. There's like not many Fates characters I don't like. Um, and Awakening too. Awakening, I think. I mean, this is a topic for another time. I might do another video on Fire Emblem in the future. But yeah, Fire Emblem. The characters are really good. In Awakening and Fates, there really aren't many characters I don't like. There's a few. I don't like all the characters. I hate Arthur. Oh my goodness, he's the worst character in Fates by far. But like, yeah, a lot of the characters. I'd say like 9 out of 10 of the Fates and Awakening characters I like. The older games, I can't really say the same, to be honest. And a lot of people are gonna yell at me for this, I'm sure. I do want to play the older games. Like, I'm not against playing them. I want to get Echoes too. Um, but like, I think Fates and Awakening for me are just my favorite. But anyways, Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. Most of Wizardry's screen was text, but a small box in the upper left-hand corner showed monsters, dungeons, and chests. These minor visuals were enough to bring our imaginations to life. Often cited as the first party-based RPG, the Wizardry showed just how deep and engaging questing could be. Numerous legendary game creators reference Wizardry as an inspiration for the games, including Elder Scrolls director Todd Howard and Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii. I knew Todd Howard was a fan of those games. I did not know about Dragon Quest, though. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, anyways. Shadowrun. Beam Software's Shadowrun drew players in with its film noir, air presentation. The near-future setting and hacking mechanics set it apart from other RPGs at the time, but its standard conventions like exploration, magic-based combat, and environmental examination. That's a standard convention? I don't know exactly what context they're using that, but anyways, kept the game anchored to the traditional RPG experience. Um, I've actually never heard of this game. I mean, it's an SNES only game, so it's obviously pretty old, and you can't get it nowadays. I mean, you could, but it's hard to get nowadays. So I haven't heard of it myself, but it sounds alright. Uh, yeah. Xenosaga, Episode 1, Der Willy Zermacht. I don't know what language that is supposed to be in, but Monolith Soft's absurdly ambitious sci-fi saga was filled with memorable characters, but none stand out more than Cosmos. Of course, Cosmos. In the first episode, philosophical and religious themes combined in a cinematic story, and the complex gameplay systems had enough depth to satisfy hardcore RPG fans. A disappointing second installment and the culling of 6 planned entries down to 3 led to rough patches later, but Xenosaga has a fantastic start. Quite a shame. Uh, yeah, Xenosaga, I'm not sure a lot of people would put this above Xenoblade or Xenogears for that matter. I think most people would put this at like the bottom, but I mean, it is a good game. Uh, even episode 2. 2 2 is not the best, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's not terrible. But yeah. Cosmos, oh my goodness, Cosmos. Like in Xenoblade 2, that's like the only person people want. Like all I hear about is like uh like I see all these videos online how to get Cosmos, and like I don't see any for like any other blade. So yeah. And like on Discord, everyone just wants Cosmos. She very, very popular character. I'm not sure why. I've actually never played Xenosaga, but yeah, undoubtedly a good character. All right. Number 40. Neverwinter Nights. Named after an earlier MMO set within the Dungeons and Dragons universe, BioWare's ambitious 2002 release gave tremendous control to its players. While its core campaign was entertaining, the flexible release gave tremendous. Oops. Uh. Wait. I've lost my place. Um. Yeah, while its core campaign was entertaining, the flexible Aurora toolset gave digital dungeon masters the chance to craft their own massive digital adventure. This extended the game's life far beyond the initial launch and gave many future BioWare employees their first taste of game development. I have heard of this. I haven't heard much about it, but I have heard of it, and it's an alright choice. Oof. Oof. Fallout. The original Fallout. A game I actually have. Uh might have to play it someday. But yeah. Fallout, the original one. The spiritual successor to Wasteland, this post-apocalyptic RPG melded a retro-futuristic aesthetic to the narrative to make a universe unlike any others in games. Its clever mix of dangerous turn-based combat, interesting characters, and gallows humor helped spawn one of the biggest RPG franchises in existence today and earn it a place in the Smithsonian American Art Museum's video games exhibition. I'm not sure I would put the original Fallout on this list. Uh, I mean, maybe it was a good game, but I haven't really heard much good stuff about it. Although I'm sure Fallout 3 is going to be on this list, and yeah, if Fallout 3 isn't on this list, that would be very surprising. System Shock 2. Looking Glass Studios' genre bending horror game pitted your protagonist against a deadly AI on a stranded spaceship. Though it looked like a first-person shooter, System Shock 2 was built on top of an RPG foundation, letting players enhance their characters with skill trees and inventory management. This mashup approach paved the way for the likes of BioShock, Dishonored, Mass Effect, and other genre hybrids, securing System Shock 2's place as one of the most influential games this of its generation. Yeah. Sure. All right. Diablo. Oh. Okay. Oh. Okay. Diablo 3. Blizzard created its own form of hell with Diablo 3's launch. The in-game auction house was a polarizing addition. If players made it through connectivity issues that plagued the game's launch, Blizzard course-corrected and refined the game, transforming it into a worthy entry in the series. A steady stream of updates further improved the demon-slaying action, introducing a slew of new items, and even a limited-time nod to Diablo's old-school start. Yeah, Diablo 3, obviously a very popular game. A lot of people play it. Um, yeah, it's an MMORPG, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know anything about it aside from the fact that like it's popular. Fallout New Vegas. Despite a rough launch filled with bugs, many hardcore fans of the original Fallout games rank New Vegas above Fallout 3. Though it shared many mechanics of Bethesda's reimagining, it featured more branching missions with alternate endings, more perks to influence your playstyle, and a deeper crafting system. New Vegas also stands out with its memorable companions, varied factions, and excellent storytelling, where players choose the future of this desert region. Yeah, New Vegas obviously very popular. Um, I'm not sure if it's more popular than Fallout 3. I know, I think 3 is the most popular, but yeah, New Vegas definitely a very popular game. Uh, 3 and New Vegas are definitely the two most popular. 4 was alright, uh, not quite as good, and then 1 and 2 were eh, but yeah, New Vegas, definitely a good pick. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X was the series' first entry to use fully 3D environments and voice acting. Titus and Yuna's journey to combat Sin culminated in a tearjerker finale that remains one of the best Final Fantasy stories to date. Progression was fun thanks to a novel sphere grid leveling system and inventive turn-based battles that allow players to swap characters and influence the turn order of each encounter. Yeah. Yeah. Um, Out of the ones I've played, I haven't played many, but this is my favorite Final Fantasy game by far, and I have it on Steam actually. So I definitely want to play that someday. The Sphere Grid, oh my goodness. The Sphere Grid is probably my favorite leveling system of all time. Like, I definitely want to make like an episode just dedicated to like various leveling systems, but and this will definitely be on it. But yeah, yeah. The story was good too. Decent amount of side content, although the main uh the main attraction is definitely the main story. There isn't a ton of side content. There is a fair bit, but not a ton. Unless you want to like complete the whole sphere grid, but that's insane. Uh Phantasy Star 4: The End of the Millennium. Though Sega kept the series' hallmarks like turn-based combat and top-down exploration in place, Phantasy Star 4: The End of the Millennium improved upon its predecessors to become the definitive entry in a beloved series. The increased emphasis on exploration and storytelling, as well as the introduction of new combination mechanics in the battle system, helped elevate Final Phantasy Star 4 as the best the franchise has to offer. I don't know much about this game, but it is a game I want to get. Uh, I think I have I think I have 2, 3, and 4 on my Steam wish list. I don't know why 1 isn't on Steam, but that's kind of annoying. But anyways, yeah. It's probably a game I'll play someday, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No, no. 33. Final Fantasy 1. Now I've played 1, I've played 10, and I've played a little bit of 7. But okay, there's no way Final Fantasy 1 is better than Final Fantasy 10. There's no way. Like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. Um, hmm. With 15 numbered entries in the series and a massive number of sequels and spin-offs, you should take the final part in Final Fantasy with a grain of salt. The first entry may not have aged well as other games, but Square's groundbreaking title helped demonstrate the console players had an appetite for RPGs. It captured the essence of tabletop role-playing through its customizable party, grand journey, and unforgiving turn-based battles. Okay, I'm gonna have to disagree with everything here. The story of Final Fantasy. The story is arguably the most important part of any RPG, aside from the gameplay. Story and gameplay are like the two most important things. Final Fantasy X, good story, good gameplay. Final Fantasy 1, alright gameplay. It's alright. Not great, but alright. But oh, the story. The story has to be the worst story I've ever seen in a video game. Like, it's horrible. Like, you kill this guy, you activate some crystals, you go back in time to stop the very first enemy you killed, to stop him from appearing in the future, and then no one remembers that you killed the first enemy because complicated time travel mechanics. That's the best way I can summarize the story. Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible story. The gameplay is alright. Um, the leveling system is very, very basic. It's like customizable party. That's a bit of a stretch, to be honest. You can customize your party's equipment. You can customize their class. And that's about it. And they're okay. And their magic, I guess. But like that kind of falls under equipment. There's like uh, it's it's just not good. Like why would they put it here? But anyways. Valkyrie profile. Oh wait, no, I'm not done ranting yet. Nope, I'm not done. Customizable party, okay. Grand journey, eh. Unforgiving turn-based battles. Alright. Now, I'm not sure if this is taking every single iteration of the game into account. If it's counting GBA Final Fantasy, I could give it a bit more credit than I'm currently giving it. But NES Final Fantasy, ugh. Ugh. Like, honestly, it's not unforgiving. There's a lot of exploits in Final Fantasy that will make your party absolutely broken. And I don't remember them off the top of my head, but there was a lot of... Okay, actually, no, I do remember them. Haste plus Giant's Gloves. Like, Giant's Gloves, you can use them... It casts Saber on a person. So you can have your white mage use Giant's Gloves on, say, your warrior. So you're basically doing double damage. And then Haste also gives you double damage. So you're doing quadruple damage. And if you have a decently leveled, like, warrior, like, the super boss of the GBA version, Shinryu, you can somewhat easily defeat him at level 65. Not 99, 65. This is a super boss we're talking about. The gameplay is not unforgiving. It's just grindy, and there are ways to get around the grinding. And I don't mean to hate on this game. It's not a bad game, but no, it does not deserve this spot. But yeah, that's the end of my rant. Let's move on. Valkyrie profile. Considering the game chronicled a warrior goddess harvesting the souls of the dead, an unusual and captivating vein of sadness ran through Valkyrie profile. Bittersweet narrative aside, this title from CRAS combined side-scrolling dungeon exploration with unique timing-based combat, all supported by a complex progression system. Getting the best ending was basically impossible without guidance, but the payoff made the effort worthwhile. No comment, haven't played. I've heard of it, good game, but that's it. Oh, alright. Ultima 4. The Black Gate. Creator Richard Garriott's favorite game in the revered Ultima series, The Black Gate was a precursor to blockbuster RPGs like Skyrim and The Witcher 3. The huge open world felt more alive than any other game of its time, with day-night cycles, dynamic weather, and villagers who followed daily schedules. The world without boundaries approach allowed players to venture away from the main questline and immerse themselves in Britannia. Yeah, Ultima is a series I kind of want to get into, but it's way too old. Like, hold on, let me just check something. Like, there's no way. It says it's available on PC, but like, eh. Yeah, you can't find this game like easily on PC. You'd probably have to like, I don't know. It's probably like a physical copy, to be honest. But yeah. Um, Persona 4. This is a respectable choice. The stellar follow-up to Persona 3, originally released for PS2 in 2008 and later remastered superbly for the Vita, won fans over by lightening the tone and presenting a cast of high school do-gooders trying to solve a mystery in the sleepy town and giving players full control of their parties. The result was the most memorable JRPGs of this past decade. Yeah, Persona 4 was a very good game. Pretty much undoubtedly. Uh, Hard to believe that the game came out on PS2. Like, it came out in 2012 on PS2. That's insane. Like, I think, what was Final Fantasy X? Was Final Fantasy X 2002? I believe Final Fantasy X was 2002. So this game came out 10 years after Final Fantasy X on the same system. And yes, it did release for PS3, but that's hard to believe. Like, you have the same thing with Persona 5. You have it's released on PS3. Like, they will not let go of the old systems. They will put everything on the older systems. And that's great. Like, that allows more people to play it. But, like, it's kind of funny that they do that. Suikoden 2. Political intrigue often makes for powerful stories, but Konami's Suikoden series made it especially engrossing. You fight corruption by recruiting 108 Stars of Destiny and build up your own headquarters. Suikoden 2 is often heralded as the Best entry, and for good reason. You face off against one hell of a sadistic villain in Luca Blight. The epic battles and the harsh decisions of war hit hard, making it the most memorable story of the series. Alright. I I do believe that that's a pretty popular game. I haven't really heard anything about it though, so I can't really talk. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Here we go. A lot of people regard this as the best RPG on the SNES, and that's going up against Final Fantasy VI and Earthbound, the very next entry. So yeah, this is for a Mario title. This is not a game to be messed with. Mario has played golf, raced go-karts, and played doctor. But when Square first introduced Nintendo's plumber to the world of RPGs, it seemed like his strangest journey to date. And not true. Super Mario Land 2 is much stranger than um Super Mario RPG. I hold on, I gotta show everyone this. This is a thing that I have been working on for months now. It is my character list. Um, let's see. Super Mario Land. Oh, there's no Super Mario. I thought there was a Super Mario Land too, but I guess I might be wrong. I think I'm thinking of the wrong game. Hold on. As you can see, I have Fire Emblem characters on this too. Um, Super Mario World 2. Here we go. If I can find this. Um, is it not? Hold on. I'm gonna just search this up to be honest. What happened to it? Is it not? What? I don't know what happened to it. I mean, Google Docs is Control F can be a bit broken sometimes. But yeah, there's an enemy in one of the Mario games called Blowhard. And I mean, can anything really stand up to that? That alone makes it the strangest game. Uh, but anyways, thankfully, Mario's take on turn-based combat was incredible thanks to unique 3D rendered graphics, technology, a zany cast of characters, and a humor-packed story about recovering star pieces. Mario's first foray into the realm of RPGs remains his best. Earthbound. Charming and bizarre, Ape and Hal Laboratory created something special with Earthbound. The game referenced popular culture, broke the fourth wall, and parodied the RPG genre. Unlike anything on the market, it was ahead of the curve, providing an auto-fight option and instantly slaying enemies when you severely overpower them. While Earthbound didn't make a splash at launch, it's grown a cult following. Too bad we won't get that Mother 3. I gotta make a rant about that too, because honestly, that's just like terrible. Wait, what? Oh, wow, okay. Um, Dragon Age Origins. With a narrative tackling complex themes and pause and play combat that allow players to strategically queue up moves, Dragon Age Origins was conceived as a modern successor. Ah, my goodness, I can't speak. As a modern successor to classic RPGs like Baldur's Gate. However, BioWare's first installment in this acclaimed series wasn't a mere copycat. Its tough moral choices, memorable cast, and a lore-rich world gave Origins a clear identity that put a new twist on traditional fantasy. Again, can't really comment much on that. Kingdom Hearts 2. This is a debatable one, to be honest. Um, alright. Combining Square Enix with Disney in the original Kingdom Hearts was dangerous but successful. This gave Square the chance to dramatically improve the concept with a sequel. Kingdom Hearts 2 marked an apex for the series, thanks to improved mechanics and more interesting Disney worlds to visit. The story was good, though it started to go off the rails towards the end. I personally preferred 1. I feel like I'm not a huge Disney fan. I feel like 2 was too much Disney and not enough Square Enix. But you know, whatever. I mean, it's a pretty good game. Can't wait for 3. I mean, that's probably gonna blow this out of the water. Dark Souls. While its predecessor may have lit the fire, Dark Souls brought the uncompromising dark fantasy worlds of From Software to the forefront. This foreboding game was filled with esoteric lore and secrets, breathtaking scenery, and unforgettable boss battles. The atmosphere of dread, oppression, and hopelessness is juxtaposed masterfully by the massive thrill of victory that comes after downing a seemingly impossible foe. Yeah, I've played a little bit of the original Dark Souls. Very tough game. Uh, Fun fact, technically it's a JRPG, technically. But yeah, definitely doesn't seem like one. Anyways, all right. All right. Final Fantasy. Wait, oh, Final Fantasy 4. All right. All right. Final Fantasy 4 was the series' first 16-bit installment, and Square used the improved technology to change the RPG landscape. The journey of Cecil, Kane, and a spectacular ensemble cast put an unprecedented focus on storytelling, while the Mode 7 airship flights provided jaw-dropping visuals. Add in fun combat, a terrifying villain, and an unforgettable soundtrack, and Final Fantasy IV withstands the test of time. 4. Again, I wouldn't put this above 10. I would put it above 1, but not above 10. That's definitely a bad move, in my opinion. Was it a good game? Yes. There are definitely Final Fantasy games that beat 4 too. Like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But yeah, 4 it's a pretty good game. EverQuest. Sony Online Entertainment's MMORPG captured the heart and soul of players, along with every moment of their free time. A hardcore experience through and through, Players would camp out valuable spawns and explore dangerous dungeons with friends for days on end, hoping that one amazing item they could show off around hoping for that one amazing item they could show off around town. Filled with a huge world to explore, massive bosses, and the requirement to forge strong social bonds to succeed, EverQuest forged a future for one of gaming's biggest genres. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Alright, alright. Um Later entries made it a mainstream phenomenon, but Morrowind laid the groundwork for the Elder Scrolls' success. The third entry in the series let players explore the 3D world of Morrowind, a desolate place inhabited by dark elves. Players were thrilled by the open structure in which they could join guilds, own homes, and lose track of the fact that yes, there was an actual main quest to complete. I have Morrowind. I've actually played a little bit of it. Not nearly to the extent I've played Oblivion and Skyrim, but it's an alright game. Uh Definitely it's hard to go back. It's very hard to go back. After playing Oblivion, and especially after playing Skyrim, this game is almost impossible to play. I mean, the mechanics are just really dated. Like the fact that you can visually swing your sword at an enemy, and the sword can like visually touch the enemy, but it will miss. That's one of the biggest flaws of the game, in my opinion. And the graphics, oof. The graphics. I mean, Oblivion's graphics are great, but these are, ugh. I mean, for the time they were good, but like, oh, it's just hard to look at. But hey, we're getting a Skyblivion and Skywind sometime in the future, so yeah, hopefully that will make some improvements. But yeah, a lot of people would regard it as the best of the Elder Scrolls games. 20, oof. Oof. All right, the best of the best. Here we go. 20. Diablo. Diablo effectively defined the action RPG hybrid, creating a compelling loop of exploration, combat, and loot collecting in randomly created dungeon crawls. Even if in its primitive form, Blizzard had clearly landed on something special, in large part thanks to the immediacy of its grim action. Turn-based combat, be damned. Diablo was about feverishly clicking your mouse to the breaking point. Yeah. Game I want to play, but probably never will, because you can't actually get it anymore. Because it. Oh, it's on PS1? What? Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure only Diablo 3 question mark is available on the Blizzard app. But let me check that real quick. And yeah, you can only get Diablo 3. You can't get 2 or 1. I don't think. Let me check the shop. They might have it in there somewhere. Yeah, I don't think you can get it. Which is a shame because Diablo 1 and 2 are good games. Yeah, I don't think you Oh, you can get Diablo 2, but you can't get the original, which is quite a shame. Oh, wow. Anyways, Persona 5. I swear, Persona 5 has to be one of the games I'm most hyped to get. I'm considering getting the Take Your Heart edition. I mean, yeah, it's really expensive, but I think it would be worth it. I mean, the stuff it has, it is worth it. Like, it has so much stuff. It has, like, a lot of stuff. But yeah, making friends, studying for exams, and saving the world. Persona 5 took the series' signature formula and polished it to a mirror sheen. Whether you chose to spend time building relationships or exposing corruption in the metaverse, Persona 5 rewarded your effort with nuanced characters and refined turn-based combat. The journey was even more arresting thanks to the impeccable visual style and standout soundtrack, establishing a slick and consistent atmosphere unlike anything else in the genre. Though Persona 5 is the most recent game in our top 100, it has distinguished itself as the best entry in an amazing franchise. Mm, I. Oh, wow. 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 Um, I'd put this a bit higher, probably, in terms of like stuff that I've heard about or seen. I mean, this game looks amazing. I've heard the soundtrack. I think it may very well be my favorite soundtrack out of any game. Nier Automata. Nier Automata is it's like tied. It's tied. But like both games have such amazing soundtracks. And the characters, oh, the characters. They they got some pretty good characters. Speaking of characters, might do an episode about characters in games someday, but note to self. And the style, the art style, just everything. It looks so polished. It's a huge game too. Like you can easily get a good like 200 hours out of it. Like, yeah, it's a massive game. Final Fantasy VII. Surprised this is so low, to be honest. The continuing legacy of Square's first step into 3D RPGs is a testament into Final Fantasy VII's quality. Even 20 years after its original release, the cast is still regarded as some of the most memorable characters in gaming. The world was bursting with minigames and hidden secrets, and Square told a mature story that featured a mid-game twist so gut-wrenching, fans are still recovering from the shock. Final Fantasy VII's materia system gave players the freedom to shape and reshape their characters, a flexibility that was absent from most other RPGs of the time. Final Fantasy VII is so good, Square is currently working on a reboot, guaranteeing that we'll probably still be talking about it 20 years from now. Um, I personally wouldn't put Final Fantasy VII above Final Fantasy X, although I can see why people would. But yeah, I'm surprised. 18. I mean, these 17 games better be really good. Ultima Online. Well, a multitude of multi-user dungeons and other smaller scale MMORPGs like Meridian 59 existed in the 90s, Origin Systems' Ultima Online is largely given credit for putting the genre on the map. Featuring a persistent world that thousands could interact with and influence, the game became a proving ground for best and worst aspects of a freeform experience like PvP battles, economy rigging, and robbing fellow players. Um, yeah. All right. Secret of Mana. This is one I knew was going to be on this list. A sequel to Final Fantasy Adventure, Square's Secret of Mana set a new high bar for action RPGs at the time of its release. The gorgeous visuals and memorable music supplemented the touching story and fun real-time combat, which lets you pause the action with the ring command system. Throw in cooperative multiplayer, a rarity at the time, and it's easy to see why the 16-bit RPG's legacy lives on. Yeah, I kind of thought this was gonna be on the list. Um, I swear, if they don't release the Seiken Denetsu collection in North America, I'm gonna be so sad because like I really want to play one. I really want to play three. I mean, yeah, I can make a Japanese account and get it on my Switch, but like I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to just like get the game. But whatever. I can't read Japanese anyway, so that would kind of suck. But Pokemon Red and Blue. Few video game franchises transcend the medium to become worldwide phenomena. Game Freak's Pokemon is one of the few. Journeying across the world to collect 151 monsters and use them in battle is instantly appealing. And add in a fun story about earning gym badges while taking down an evil organization, and you can see why players had to catch them all. Later entries continued refining the formula, but the first Pokemon entries laid an awesome foundation for one of gaming's most popular series. I'd have to disagree. Um, Red and Blue were alright, but I don't think they're as good as people say they are. Like Gold and Silver, even, which were placed at 50, those were way better in my opinion. And yeah, I guess it was an important game in the series, but was it the it I don't think it really qualifies as the best in the series. But anyways, Deuce X. Eon Storm took the gaming world by surprise with this incentive genre hybrid, successfully melding together elements of stealth games, first-person shooters, and RPGs. Deus Ex embraced player choice in a way few games had attempted. The dystopian near-future setting empowered its players to approach missions in any way they saw fit, spending skill points to unlock new augmentations that complemented their playstyle. The cyberpunk backdrop provided fertile enough to foster several more Deus Ex games, but none came close to matching the inventiveness of the original. Um, wasn't this the game that predicted the 9/11 attacks? Because like I know there was one game where like they forgot to put the twin towers in the background, and when they asked the developer why, and he said it was because of a terrorist attack. I'm pretty yeah, release 2000. That would have to be the case. Interesting. Aside from that, though, I don't really know much about this game, so no comment. Planescape Torment. The most memorable of the Black Isle Studios games using the Infinity Engine, Planescape Torment took the brave risk of focusing on story instead of combat. A quest-centric experience rooted in Dungeons& and Dragons' Planescape multiverse, the characters, story, and experiences took center stage, serving as a pioneer in the genre for rich narratives and weird, wild exploration. The amnesic immortal The Nameless One is still one of the most complex and memorable characters in all of gaming, and even small choices players made rippled through the narrative with unforeseen consequences. Alright, Fallout 3. Yeah, I kind of figured this was going to be up on here too. Bethesda had no shortage of skeptics when it acquired the beloved Fallout series, but the studio silenced all but the most entrenched detractors with this blockbuster reinterpretation. Ditching series conventions like the isometric camera and turn-based battles in favor of a first-person perspective and real-time combat, Fallout 3 brought the post-apocalyptic RPG to mainstream audiences, selling more than 12 million copies and winning several Game of the Year awards along the way. Bloodborne. From Software reached pure atmospheric glory in Bloodborne, a dark action RPG drawing upon Lovecraftian lore. While the Soul series has always succeeded at bringing forlorn fantasy to life, From's flair for creating terrifying environments populated by epic, intimidating bosses is realized both aesthetically and thematically in Bloodborne. A trek through a walking nightmare, the player is treated to surreal delights accompanied by a haunting soundtrack and a plethora of wicked weapons. Bloodborne serves an enthralling, challenging experience infused with fear and wonder. Interesting. Bloodborne, I'd say it deserves the spot on this list. They put it surprisingly high though. Like, dang. I'm a bit scared for the next one because I see chocobos, but I don't recognize any of the characters. Okay, Final Fantasy Tactics. This is alright. Final Fantasy Tactics might be a spin-off of Square's biggest brand, but it doesn't sit under the main franchise's shadow. This tactics adventure told the story of a group of highborn cadets thrust into the middle of a war for the throne, which felt more mature and political than previous Final Fantasy games. However, the gameplay is where tactics really shines. Square evolved its familiar job class structure into a progression system so deep that you could lose yourself in the thrill of modifying your heroes for hours. Tactics lived up to its name by providing a series of clever encounters that challenged our adept heroes at every turn. Good choice. Good choice. I'm surprised. Final Fantasy Tactics above 4, 10, 7. Like, that's insane. Tactics above 7 of all games. And we haven't seen 6 yet. Six could very well be considered the best Final Fantasy game of all time by Gameinformer. We'll have to see. But anyways, Baldur's Gates 2: Shadows of Amn. A dark and forbidding atmosphere, richly drawn and voiced character cast, and strategic combat refined an already engaging system over its predecessor, and made Baldur's Gate 2 the definitive isometric CRPG for millions of players around the world. The game's success also set the stage for BioWare's ascendance and evolution as one of the defining developers of RPGs in the subsequent decades. Few games have so thoughtfully captured the D&D aesthetic and rules. Even standing on its own merits, Baldur's Gate 2 was a triumph of player choice, offering consistent moments of discovery and magic fueled by the player's interactions with the world. Alright, another respectable choice. Diablo 2, for its return trip to Hell, Blizzard retooled the Diablo template and ended up creating a classic. The core game's 5 classes offered enough variety alone, but the wealth of randomly generated loot created a staggering amount of customization options. The Diablo 2's bloody, dark fantasy setting was a memorable playground for fans who poured hundreds of hours slaying Hellspawn for just a few more minutes. The game flourished online, giving Battle.net players additional depth when building out their adventuring parties. Blizzard clearly has fond memories of the game too, releasing updates long after its release, and as recently as 2016. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic? This is an interesting one. The Force was strong with BioWare Knights of the Old Republic, an RPG that lets players determine if they would be a Jedi or Sith Lord through choice-driven scenarios. Set roughly 4,000 years before the birth of the Galactic Empire, Star Wars fans often jokingly call this game the... Mm, uh, I won't. The good prequel, as the game's jaw-dropping twist was more memorable than George Lucas's take on young Anakin Skywalker. BioWare developed memorable characters and pushed the boundary of voice acting in RPGs, creating the blueprint used for many of its later RPGs. Um, Interesting choice. I know this is a popular game, but I don't know. I can't really see myself enjoying this too much. But, opinions. World of Warcraft. While Blizzard's MMORPG wasn't the first in the genre, it is undoubtedly the one that popularized it, and has had developers chasing its success ever since. Combining social aspects of its predecessors with the popular RTS franchise's lore and revamping the clunky user interface often associated with older genre offerings, World of Warcraft made MMOs accessible and enjoyable to a broader audience than ever before. Once catering solely to the longtime participants who would race to conquer dragons and raids before other elite guilds, WoW has continually transformed and evolved again, not again, over 12 years. It now offers a wealth of activities and challenges for both the casual once a week login and the world's first raid leader. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. CD Projekt Red raised the RPG genre's storytelling stakes with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Its superb open world hosted hundreds of quests and meaningful decisions around every bend, always giving you something to do. Seeing your choices rippled across the vast landscape was a highlight itself, and the masterful writing added unpredictability and shades of gray to every dilemma. Seeing a game with such an ambitious scope deliver so fully in terms of quality is rare, but The Witcher 3 did just that, while also raising expectations for what an open world RPG should offer in terms of depth, breadth, and polish. Oh my goodness, my mouth is so dry. Mass Effect 2. After BioWare ambitiously set the table with the original Mass Effect, the second entry fulfilled the studio's promises. In addition to massively improving the gameplay, the narrative focus on building a team and earning allies' loyalty gave new players new avenues to get invested in Commander Shepard's legend. It also introduced the Elusive Man, a a humanity-first puppet master who serves as one of the most interesting and complicated villains of gaming. From the action-packed opening sequence to the suicide mission that showed you the consequences of your actions, Mass Effect 2 was a compelling thrill ride that represents the pinnacle of one of the greatest modern RPG series. Chrono Trigger. Any RPG fan would have a hard time finding something bad to say about Chrono Trigger. The product of a development dream team at Square, it was full of charming characters, colorful visuals, and fantastic music. The time-bending story had players exploring settings that ranged from prehistoric to post-apocalyptic, all while taking advantage of a clever battle system that encouraged cooperation among characters, from heroes dying to villains joining your cause. The tale was full of twists and turns. Even when he finished, Chrono Trigger's defining use of New Game Plus and multiple endings ensured that you always had a reason to relive the adventure. Here we go. Here we go. Final Fantasy VI. Despite stiff competition, often from developer Square itself, Final Fantasy VI has earned its place as the best of the best in a golden era of RPGs. From the unsettling opening sequence to the god-killing finale, Final Fantasy VI kept players hooked with innovations around every corner. The plot juggled perspectives brilliantly, shaping the setting and story throughout multiple interesting viewpoints. Even when the world literally fell apart thanks to the deliciously deranged villain Kefka. Each of the 14 party members could shine thanks to well-written dialogue and unique combat abilities, and the exceptional graphics and music gave the experience an undeniable magnetism. That sense persists today, even today, making Final Fantasy VI a timeless classic. Yeah, I feel like most people would agree with this. Um, I mean, it had to be either 6 or 7. Like it had to be. Like seven's the one that made it like a mainstream series, but six is the one that all the hardcore fans like. But yeah, um, yeah, good choice. Like these top three are like really good, and of course one, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. The essence of role-playing is inhabiting a character and seeing where your adventures take you. No game accomplished that quite like Skyrim, which expanded on the series' foundation and let players loose in a sprawling world full of stories. Bethesda's mastery of player-driven progression reached new heights with this entry, combining flexible combat and engaging quests to impart a unique sense of ownership. Skyrim was revolutionary when it first released, despite some technical issues, and has grown more varied and customizable thanks to Bethesda's support for mod community on both PC and console. Skyrim may not carry the same nostalgic weight as old school games, but it opened RPGs up to a wider audience that wouldn't know a saving throw from a feat, and it set a standard for open world RPGs that modern releases still strive to reach. Next, we still have one more RPG to pay tribute to. Interesting. Zero, Dungeons and Dragons. The gaming world owes a great debt to Dungeons and Dragons, from the character-driven video games of the last 4 decades to the countless sprawling tabletop role-playing games that spawned. Co-created by Dave Aronson and Gary Gygax, this seminal game was born from the Ministry's wargaming scene, but introduced the idea of singular characters that move through a dangerous world while a dungeon master controlled the flow of action, giving structure to imaginary narrative play in a brand new way. The game captured the imaginations of players around the world. Its many subsequent editions, offshoots, and descendants continue to do so to this day. Dungeons and Dragons' influence and impact is hard to overstate. Most early video game RPGs were direct attempts to emulate the D&D concept in digital form. The fantasy milieu of D&D, itself inspired by works like J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings and Robert E. Howard's Conan Tales, practically defined computer RPGs in the early years. Character leveling and progression, exploration and questing, a defined statistical rule set, randomness through dice rolls or number generation, and narrative player choice all trace their roots here. Our ranking of RPGs is focused on video games, but it's impossible to know that if any of these games would exist without the root experience that D&D introduced. Friends gathered around a table, laughing and sharing in an adventure. Wow. All right. What a list. 4 out of 5 stars. Okay. Um, yeah. Um, my list, if I were to make it, would be very, very different. This list has a lot of like really old games. Um, a lot of Western RPGs. I feel like if I were to make a top 100 RPGs of all time, you'd have like the entire Tales series, the entire Persona series, the entire Xenoblade series. But yeah, I mean, some Western games too. Like Skyrim is obviously one of my favorite games of all time. Oblivion, Morrowind. But yeah, my list would be very different. But I mean, it's an alright list. Some questionable decisions. I was pretty happy with the top three. Um, but there were some things that I didn't really like that much. Like the fact that the only Pokemon games were Gold, Silver, Red, and Blue. Eh. The fact that Xenoblade was placed at 90. Eh. But, whatever. It's a decent list, and yeah. Next episode, top 50 games of the year, and then I have a few ideas for episodes after that. So, I don't intend to stop making these anytime soon. I really like making these. They're a bit, harder to make than, like, just a Let's Play, but I like making them. Uh, it allows me to, like, state my opinions on a lot of things, and, that I normally wouldn't be able to do, but, whatever. Anyways, that is all for today. Hopefully, I actually upload this one soon. I uploaded last episode quite a while ago, but never actually uploaded it for whatever reason. So, yeah. Um, hopefully I will actually upload it soon, and that way I can have another episode ready to upload in the near future. But anyways, that is all for today.